गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवत्तमम् यस्थराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिविवचक्षुराततम् ॐ श्रीं ह्रीं महालक्ष्म्यै नमः। ॐ श्रीं ह्रीं दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्रीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। हरे राम कृष्ण गीता। ॐ हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण। No, actually, we are done with this part, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I was looking that we said that last week that we will do some kind of a shift from political.
I see. We will do it when there are more people. Yeah. In general, if you just want to discuss something. For those who are listening to the audio, today we have a very small class because there was a daylight saving time, and I think people forgot to turn their clock ahead by 1 hour. So only those who turned ahead have come. So I have a very short class. And also we don't have the projector.
And I turned mine ahead because I saw BJ last night at the function, and he said to turn my clock back 1 hour.
So we have a very informal class. We don't even have the projector because Teju, who has the projector, is not here yet. And actually he forgot to get the projector. So even if he is here, the projector is not here. So we are just going to have an informal discussion. Okay, so Vijay.
So other thing we want to discuss is how the transits maybe affect. Discuss that.
Yeah, sure, we can discuss. Actually, before I continue, I just wanted to say one thing to you. So, like you were talking about progressing Sahma, whatever you said is a very good idea. So, if you continue, only thing I will add is I have tried progressing Sahma in annual chart, because when it comes to natal chart and progressing, you can progress it so that it covers the whole zodiac in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years or 50 years. You can take any length, and depending on it, the progression is going to be different. The results are going to be different. And I think the big problem is finding the length to which you should progress, how many degrees you should progress per year. So there are different opinions on that. So that's been the risky thing to research basically, because there are infinite options. What I tried was, I tried progressing them in annual charts, in annual Tithi charts, because that's what I like more than Tajika. So in the Tithi chart, when I progress Sahmas, either a constant rate or a non-linear rate, I didn't really find any interesting results. But I can try your twist on the Brahma that I have never tried. I can try that. But one thing that I found very useful when I tried progressing within a year is, actually I wrote on one of the Yahoo groups recently about this. One thing I found useful is midpoints. Instead of Brahma, I just took the midpoints of planets. And one midpoint is very popular in India. It's called Dhruv Bindu. The dot of Dhruv, actually. Dhruv is a phrase. Dhruv Sutram and all this.
I know him.
You know him means you met him? I don't know him. I just heard of him. I'm just kidding. So, there is a point called Dhruv Bindu. It's basically the midpoint of Moon's longitude and Rahu's longitude. Moon is basically your mind, and Rahu is what crosses the mind. If you take the average, I'm not sure exactly what it means, but that's supposed to be a very important planet, a very important point. And what people traditionally do is they progress it every year by 3 degrees or certain amount of degrees, 1 degree, 3 degrees. There are various progressions, but the most popular is progressing the Bhirbindu by 3 degrees per year. And then they progress when it touches important natal positions like planets or Sahmas or any important positions. Whenever it touches, some important events are supposed to be triggered. So, like I said earlier, I'm not really sure of the amount it should progress. So, I just took it easy on the natal chart. So, what I did is I tried that in the annual chart. I progressed that Bhirbindu in the annual chart, so that now there is no question of the permanence. Basically, it has to cover the entire zodiac in 1 year. Before the next lunar year starts, before the next Pravesh, within those 360 degrees or 390 degrees, it has to complete the zodiac. So it's very crystal clear. And when I did that, there is actually one more thing I did. I tried the linear progression where you say, okay, 360 degrees or let's say 354 days, and you have to cover 360 degrees. So you cover 1 degree in every 364 divided by 360 days, and then you progress linearly. Another thing I tried is, because we are talking about moon and Rahu, we are talking about mind, so why not give importance to nakshatra? So instead of just looking at the degree as a measure of distance, why not look at the nakshatra? So, for example, Kritika is a star. If you are Vimshotri Dasha, if you look at it, it's basically a progression of moon. And when you are progressing moon, he stays in Kritika for only 6 years, but he stays in Bharani for 20 years. He stays in Ashwini for 7 years. So basically, when you are progressing the moon, there is a formula that has been given by the sages. In Vishwapadevika formula. So I thought, why not apply that? So what I tried is, I progress it non-linearly through the zodiac. It doesn't go with the same speed. In some nakshatras it goes fast. In some other nakshatras it goes slowly.
So you divided it upon the proportion that it was going to take for the whole year, yeah.
Right. In other words, a simple formula would be, because 120 years are being mapped to 360 degrees, all you have to do is for 1 year after Vishwapadevika Dasha, you actually take 360, assuming it's a 360 years, because some years can be 390 degrees. So, if it is, for example, Ashwini, it is 7 times 3, 21 degrees exactly. Bharani will be 20 times 3, 60 degrees, and so on. So, if you progress like that, if you take the Bhirbindu wherever it is, if you progress it through various nakshatras, and of course, within nakshatra again, let's say through Bharani, let's say it progresses through Bharani in 20 times 6, 20 times 3, 60 degrees. Okay? So Bharani turn, as Bhirbindu is being progressed from the beginning of Bharani to the end of Bharani, it will be 60 degrees. Within those 60 degrees, again, I am not progressing linearly. I am progressing non-linearly based on the Antardasha. You divide the nakshatra into again 9 parts. So if you divide it into 9 parts, the first will be Venus part, because it is Bharani, owned by Venus. The second will be Sun, like that. So if you, again in the ratio of those planetary lengths, if you divide, what you get is again a nonlinear progression within that portion of the nakshatra. Again within that I divide nonlinearly, based on the Satyanta Dasha. So this is basically Tribhagi Vimshoti Dasha. I do, if you look at my software, what I do is, let me show you. Let me take my own example, my chart as an example. If you look at, let's say, 1987, the year when I stood state first in higher secondary school exams, what I do is, in my software, I just add a special point. This is basically the midpoint of Moon and Rahu. Okay. So there is an SP, special point that is shown in the software. That's basically my Bhirbindu. But what I do is, now I look at the Vimshotri Dasha. Instead of starting it from Moon, I started from the user special point, the Bhirbindu. I use the Tribhagi option. So the approach I have taken is, I take this Kritika. I mean, I look at this Dasha. What is the Dasha running right now? So right now, when I still stayed first, it was May 28th evening. So it was Kritika's Dasha. And within Kritika, I count how many Antardashas are over. By that time, 4 Antardashas were over. So 4 divided by 9 of the nakshatra was over. These Antardashas basically correspond to 9 equal parts of the nakshatra.
Yes.
If you know Krishnamurti Paddhati, he divides nakshatras into so-called subs. Are you familiar with Krishnamurti?
Yes.
He divides into subs, but the thing is, those subs have a variable length. In his case, he divides the nakshatra in variable proportions. The first part, if you take, for example, Ashwini star, the first part is 7 divided by 120 of the length of the nakshatra. The second part is 20 divided by 120 of the length of the nakshatra. He divides non-linearly based on the year. But my point is simple. Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, they all have equal length.
And you don't use adjective, right?
Pardon me?
I
don't use adjective here.
Okay.
This is only 27 nakshatra.
Okay.
So, the nakshatras, Ashwini, Bharani, they have different lengths, 7 years and 20 years. But they have the same length in terms of longitude. Both are 13 degrees, 20 minutes. Right? So, when you go to the Antardashas, when you divide the nakshatras for the Antardashas, what is the point in dividing non-linearly?
You don't. You do it the same.
So, I do it the same way. So, my approach is, because 4 parts are over, 4 by 9, 4 divided by 9 of the star is over. And if I want to be more accurate, I basically go to the next level. In the fifth Antardasha, how many Antardashas are over by that time?
This is 5 or wait a minute.
28 evenings. So it's basically, actually wrong.
Yeah.
So actually
3
are over.
Yeah.
In the fourth one, 1 is over. Okay, it was around this time, 7 o'clock in the night. So I just take 1 is over. So 4 Antardashas and 1 Pratyantardasha are over. So I do 1 divided by 9 for the Pratyantardasha plus 4. So 4.111 divided by 9. So 0.45 of the nakshatra. So times, you do 0.45 times 13.33. This is the length of the nakshatra.
Yeah.
So 6 degrees are over within the Kritika star. So from the Kritika, beginning of the Kritika, if I add those many degrees from the beginning of the Kritika, I get the longitude, the exact longitude of the progress between them. So what I found is, when I progress the point like that, it touches important planets. For example, here the fifth lord Mars is in the house. It shows success in competition for education, etc. So when it touches him, basically the result is in the house. Yeah.
And how accurate do you find that predictability?
This is actually a hit or miss technique. You either hit or miss. You either the event happens on the exact day, you either get the exact day of the event, or you don't get anything. That kind of technique. So
the probability is 50%.
It's not a question of probability. When it works, it's the days.
Okay.
When it works 100%. When it's so focused that you get the exact date. When it doesn't work, you have to use something else. So that's the thing. But when it works basically within the degree. For example, another year, I left India. When I did the same thing in that particular year, the point was exactly opposite my Saturn, who was the 12th lord in the 12th house, going to a faraway country. And as a matter of fact, even using Ashwini Dasa, the Saturn Dasa which took me abroad. So exactly when Saturn's longitude was opposite this particular point, progress point, I went abroad on the exact day.
I think what happens is a cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the cycle has to correlate with a projection from either a transit or something else. And when that event doesn't happen, there's an inversion, and then the cycle doesn't accurately predict. But when there's a conspiracy of numbers of different events, then you'll get the actual real prediction. There's something going on.
This is just one factor that we are looking at.
Yeah. But I think maybe the probability has to be used with the Sabodabhadra. And I think it's the key to opening up the Sabodabhadra. And I think the two of them have to be used together. And I think you combine that with the Sabodabhadra.
Yeah.
That'll be the secret of the Sabodabhadra.
That could be true.
Yeah.
But I just want, and also another thing is, apart from this particular midpoint, I found that you can take some other midpoints like Lagna, Lagna, Saturn, Lagna, Sun, for various things. You can take midpoints of various other Lagna and other planets, and you can progress them. So those I found to be consistent, but Sahamas I haven't found to be consistent. But your twist on Sahamas is very interesting.
Yeah, I've been doing that, and that works.
I'll play with it. I'll definitely play with it.
And then I think maybe you need to combine this with the Vedas. on the Sabota Bhadra. And then the prediction might
Perhaps,
be perfect.
yes. Or maybe there are some other things also. There could be some other things that you have to combine with also. It may not be just the Sabota, etc. But the bottom line is, no single technique will give you 100% reliable, perfect prediction. You have to combine various things.
Have you tried to progress that with the Sabota Bhadra to see the influence?
No, I haven't used Sabota at all. I just progress and look at the correlation to planets in the annual chart itself.
But I think if you finish that off with Sabota Bhadra, every time it'll put.
That could be.
And then finally the predictions will be perfect. Like everybody who knows the Sabota Bhadra does perfect predictions, right? Right? Isn't that supposed to be the big one?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, yes.
I did see your
emails
on this topic. And so Sunday response also. I didn't know how to calculate. I know some part you did manual calculation that find out the degree. That was
I actually, whatever I try in my software. But the thing is, I can't give it to others because I just hack. So putting a nice interface so that people can use it conveniently is a different thing. So I just hack so many calculations. I just put and then I just test them out so that they are not in the final grade. Right. I don't usually do any manual calculations. I use only software. But when I write a mail on the list, basically I make it like a manual calculation. So I go through it carefully and give a manual method to do it. But the way I did it was I was not counting cities at all. I just programmed the Integrated Peripatetic Vedic Astrology to use the special code and then I make it a video. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. People already know I am it. Okay, so we'll have a general informal discussion, whatever doubts you have. Okay, now you can ask me any question that don't require to project a chart. Any informal, qualitative. We will talk about it in the next class. We will take some examples. Yeah, we will talk about it. That's what you said, property. Property means real estate. So we will talk about real estate, how to see real estate matters, etc. in the next class. And there are more people and also in the real estate. But now, any doubts you have, you don't require to open a chart and everybody looking at the chart. That's the thing.
One thing I noticed was very ambiguous nature.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed is the power or music. Just from Navamsa, I like that thing that is power. Just in Navamsa, every house in Navamsa has got very interesting, deeper meaning. Just from Navamsa, you can go to the entire all possible everything else. So from each house, it becomes a big house. You will cover that. I can look at this.
Okay, that's a good point. So I will try to cover Navamsa in more detail. Okay. Anything else?
Just to confirm it, last week we found that the chart which we analyzed it, the person had a relationship before. We asked me to find out if it is true.
That is true? That's what we perfected.
So the one that we actually went through is more like a second
Yeah, the relationship that the person is engaged in now is second relationship. That's what we suspected. We thought that there might be a previous relationship which is not finally make it this way. It has to be broken. That's what we suspected. That's why we asked him to confirm that. So,
there was a long relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a marriage at all because it's a very close relationship and current one is very short. But now, that's why on.
Yes, still on. Whatever it is, the first relationship is UL. So we thought that the second from UL was weak. So first relationship may not have succeeded, and the second one is the 8th from UL. and that we thought was strong, had a strong sense of succeeding, strong sense of actually materializing, manifesting.
It is 7 from 8.
No,
Eight
8 from the UL.
8 from UL.
8 from UL is second marriage. 8 there from is the third marriage, and so on. If there is. So like that, you should not be shy to ask somebody when somebody comes to you to suspect either based on the timing. Somebody may say, right now I'm in a relationship, but when you look at the Dasa, Narayan Dasa, there may not be any links to the UL. There may not be any aspects or anything. Or if you look at the Vishwati Dasa, there may not be any links to the planet who owns the UL or the second from UL. Because those are the planets that bring that particular relationship. So if you don't see any link, and if, on the other hand, if you see links to the 8th from UL, you should think maybe this is the second relationship, not the first. Maybe not the second marriage, but a second serious relationship. Because any serious relationship is like a marriage, as far as we are concerned. So if you see somebody had a serious relationship that did not result in a marriage, they may tell you that they are not married, but based on the chart, basically they are married. So you have to, if you suspect that there is some reason to doubt, you should ask. You should get it confirmed.
So on the same note, when the realization is failed, can you take start from
Yeah.
10th limit?
Yeah.
How do you find out in case if you really have an attraction before the first one having
Again, if you doubt, first you are going to ask, you are going to find out whether this is the first marriage or second marriage, first relationship or second relationship. Again, if somebody had a relationship that did not result in any children, there was a sexual relationship but no children were born, and then no marriage also happened, and the person got married to a different person and got children from that person, the counting in the Saptansa, I have mentioned it previously, is different. From the first relationship, you take the 5th house, 7th, 9th, or 5th, 3rd, 1st, etc. But from the second relationship, it's not the 5th house. 5th house is the 11th from 7th. 5th house is the 11th house from 7th. 5th house shows the first child from the first husband or first wife, because 7th house is the first relationship in the Saptamsa, and the 11th from there is the fruits from the relationship, the children. But if you take the second marriage, not necessarily marriage, but second serious relationship where the purpose is to get married, in that relationship is shown by the second house, not the 7th house. Because from the 7th house, if you take the 8th house, it falls in the second house. So from the end of first, second house. So from there, you take the 11th house.
from 8th from 11th house or 8th from
8th from 7th, that is first marriage. 7th is first marriage. 8th from 7th is second marriage. Okay? What is 8th from 7th? Count and tell me. If you take the 8th house from 7th, what will it end up being? It will be the second. Because 7th from 7th is first, so 8th from 7th is second. So second house is the 8th house from the second house, 7th house. So second house will show the second marriage. Okay? The 11th from there is the 12th house. So you take the 11th from there, the 12th house. Of course, it will be 11th either in the forward or backward direction based on whether that's an odd sign or even sign. Not based on Lagna being odd or even, but the second house being odd or even. Okay, that is the tricky part. So look at whether the second house is odd or even. If it is odd, take the 11th from it normally. It is the 12th house in the actual chart. That will be the first side from the second marriage. If it is an even sign, take the 11th backwards. So that will end up being second, third and fourth. So that will be the 4th house. So either the 4th house or the 12th house. You show the first child from the second marriage. Similarly, if there is a third marriage, let us say, somebody had 3 marriages. So what will show the marriage, the third marriage? The 8th from the second house. Again, you keep going 8, 8, 8. So what is the 8th from second house? 9th house. Yes, 9th house. So again, if 9th house is odd, you go backward in 7th house. That will be the first child. If 9th house is even, you go forward and count the 11th house. Proof from the PSP. So that will be the 11th house. So either the 11th house or the 7th house will show the child, the first child from the third marriage. So like that, first you have to know which marriage it is. whether it's the first or second. Not necessarily marriage. If he says first marriage or second marriage, people will not know, understand clearly. So clearly ask, was there a serious relationship before? Pardon me? Yeah, they say theoretically 1 year, but I have seen cases where it's less than 1 year, but it's also taken start. So it's tough to put a number. It's tough to have a number represent everything. So if it is long, close to a year, that will also be good enough. But bottom line is, it has to be a serious relationship. There should be commitment in that relationship. Usually it's basically a strong commitment. That's what it is called. So like this, first find which marriage it is, and then you will know from where to start counting, whether it's from the 5th house or 12th house or 7th house or whatever house. And then once you know from where to count, then you should know whether it's the first child or second child or third child. And you know how to count, backward or forward, based on odd or even. And then go to the correct sign. Pick the lot and then you are done. The only thing is, if you suspect that particular, suppose somebody had only one marriage, one relationship, and you look at the 5th house, they say, I have only one child. But the 5th house is really weak, let us say. The 5th lord is in the 6th house or something. Let's say there is Mars and Saturn in the 6th house, or there are some weaknesses. And you suspect that this particular pregnancy may not have survived. Then, if you take the 7th house, if you look at some basic characteristics, maybe they are matching with the child. Suppose the child is a very stubborn child and you see Mars in the 3rd from the particular child. And you suspect this is probably the second child, not the first child. Then you can ask me, are you sure there wasn't any abortion? Because in my own experience, there were actually several times. In the beginning I used to be shy to ask these things. But there were actually several cases where I did ask, are you sure this is right? Was there an abortion? The person would first, some people would immediately say, oh yeah. But some people, there were even cases where they said no. And later they actually told me that I was right. Because they weren't sure. The person would talk to wife and then find out wife and say, actually, we suspected that there was a pregnancy, there was an abortion, but that happened very quickly, so we did not know about it like that. There was even one case where somebody brought me a chart and he said, he got married, but he was in a couple of relationships before, and he showed me he's going through a divorce right now, and he wants to marry a different girl. He's in love with a new girl now, and after this divorce happens, he wants to marry that girl. And he showed me the chart of that girl. And when I saw the girl, he said she has 2 children. And when I saw the chart, I was very sure she doesn't have 2 children but 3 children and one abortion. And I was very sure the abortion was between the 2 children. One child abortion, second child. I was very sure. I told him, and this is somebody he's in love with. He doesn't know her. I mean, he's not already married to her. So he may not know everything perfectly. So I asked him, if I have to make any predictions regarding childbirth to her, I need to know that Saptans Lagna is accurate. Because he wants to know whether she will be able to have children with him. Because he wants to get married to her. If I want to know whether Saptans Lagna is accurate, I need accurate information here. So find out if she has an abortion. Then he called her and found out. And then first she hesitated, but later she told him that she indeed had an abortion. But she said, first there was an abortion and then 2 children. And then he hung up and told me. I said, that doesn't make sense. Are you sure? Confirm with her. Then again he called her. She confirmed that actually abortion. She recalled things and she said, oh, actually abortion was between the 2 kids. So like that, sometimes people forget also. Things that are not very pleasant to remember, people tend to forget. So if you are confident, depending on your confidence level, you can basically push and then get confirmation. And if you are really sure, based on a chart that it should be this way, and they are telling that it's not this way, but it is this way, and you are not able to make sense of it by moving the lagna by one side, this way or that way, you should probably not look further. You say, well, I don't know what's going on, I'll just leave this chart. That's a better thing to do than just basically throw a stone in the dark. So basically that confidence will come as you get more experience. In the beginning, everything will make sense, or nothing will make sense. But as you get more experience, and as you become more and more confident, at least in some charts you will be able to say, this must be, this doesn't make sense. Are you sure? Like that you will be able to say. So don't hesitate to ask when you are sure.
Is a miscarriage and abortion considered same thing or different?
It's considered, well, that's a very good question. Actually, there is a difference. Abortion that happens by naturally, an abortion that happens, huh? Yeah, got it.
If it's abortion, there should definitely be involvement of Rahu.
Okay.
Because
Doesn't Rahu show some other artificial means by which it has to end?
yes, that is the involvement.
Or some other natural means by which it ends? You ate something that you are not supposed to eat or something like that in the early stages. Can't Rahu show that? Rahu also
Yeah,
shows.
Rahu can show that maybe.
Yeah. If the person himself or herself decides, I don't want this child, what should be the criteria there?
Mars should also have involvement.
Okay.
Mars will show movement or
Okay. So
But Mars could show a hemorrhagic abortion, where natural abortion.
Exactly. So what is the key for deciding the person's involvement?
The lagna.
The Lagna Lord is your own intelligence. So if you look at the Lagna Lord or Saptansha is you as far as childbirth is concerned, as far as your continuation of lineage is concerned. So Lagna Lord in the chart shows you, your intelligence applies to those matters, the matters of intelligence. So if the Lagna Lord is involved with a particular, Lagna Lord and Rahu, let us say, are involved. Let's say Rahu is in that house and Lagna Lord is, let's say, in the Maharishi from that house. Let's say 6th Lord is in 6th. Maybe it's a self-done thing. The thing is, you can't say with 100% surety. But if Lagna Lord is involved, has Argala, has aspect, or is in the sign, you may suspect that probably this was done intentionally. Now, sometimes Lagna Lord may not be involved. But let us say 7th Lord is involved. Or 2nd Lord is involved, depending on whether this is first marriage or second marriage. The Lord of the sign that shows that particular marriage is involved. What would be your guess? What would that mean? Lagna Lord is not in a Margasthana from that particular child. He is not involved. But Rahu is involved and the Lord of the sign showing the marriage is involved. Like second Lord or 7th Lord. Yeah. Spouse. Not necessarily husband. Maybe
other partner.
The other partner. The spouse is basically against. Yeah, may not be spouse also. The other partner. That's a more accurate word. The other partner may not be interested in having this child. And they may force. They may decide. No, I'm not having this child. So that is what that is. If both are involved, maybe both have an interest in getting it about it. But several times it's only one partner to decide about.
So when you ask the person, is it abortion or is it a miscarriage?
So in my view, I never really cared about it because as long as Rahu or somebody is involved, some Marka combination is involved there, as long as I know that this fetus is not surviving, doesn't matter to me whether they decided or somebody else decided because that may be additional information, but usually it doesn't add much value. And it's too private also.
Yeah, they want to discuss it.
They may not discuss it, they may even mislead you intentionally. Yeah, it's too private information. And like I said, it doesn't add any new value because whether there was an abortion or not itself is a big clue. If you see with one lagna, if you see combination for abortion for that particular child, with a different lagna if you don't see, you know that this is right. By knowing, in addition that lagna lord is involved, so they did it intentionally and that is indeed true, you know that additional information, you are not really going to gain much. You are not going to be able to rectify from that. In most cases anyway. So usually I don't really care about that. Except as an academic research. Yeah. In the subconscious, the creative comes in different cycle of yeah. Yeah.
Suppose second in marriage or second breakup. So that means that the entire cycle is different, right?
Yeah, it will be different cycle. So K2 coming in will be again different. You have to start fresh. Okay. So you started from the 5th house, you went, K2 let's say goes it here. Now you start from the 12th house, then let's say you are going backward or something. Again K2 will cut, but maybe after a different number of stages.
So there, that means it's not necessarily a person related to the relation chart.
Yes. K2 cutting means children from that particular relationship are over. Not children are over. Okay?
How is that going to the previous example that I gave of the person who was considering the second number of life?
Yeah.
During the second situation.
Yeah.
How will it go for her chart? It will be still continuous. What will it
Right.
because That relation with that is
Why
if you see that Vedic chart,
yeah.
she had a fixed in abortion and disease.
Yeah. See, abortion doesn't mean Ketu is in that sign.
No, not
Yeah.
that.
Abortion was because of other reasons.
Ended her fiber.
Yeah.
That is for her that you have child with this person.
Yeah.
That means in the fourth kid is possible in the fifth.
No, that was from a different husband. She's already divorced.
Right. Okay,
So those 3 children, child, abortion and child, was from a different person. Not from this person. If from this person, he would know.
okay.
That's why when I asked him, he had to call her to find out the information from the previous husband.
It's not possible.
If she gets a 4th one from this man, it's counted differently now. It's not counted from the 5th house, it's counted from the 12th house. Okay? Now the thing is, actually, she in the particular case, there was actually an abortion also, from this man also. Yeah, it's complicated. So there was one boy, one child, one abortion and one child from the previous husband. For him, forget. It's too complicated. It's too complicated. But for her, she had one marriage, one child, one abortion, one child, and then one abortion through this man. She was divorced, and then she started having relationship with this man who is going through divorce, with the understanding that they will get married after divorce happens. His divorce also happened. And then they had a child. And then they decided, we don't want this child because we are not married yet. So they aborted. So that again, that shows up as the 12th house. 12th house basically being weak. So even though this is an abortion, as far as you are concerned, this is basically the first child. We don't distinguish between married children that are born and the children that are unborn. Any children conceived is a child in the chart. So you take the second relationship, the second house, and the 11th from it, either the 12th house or 4th house, that will be the first child. If that child doesn't have the chance of basically surviving, if you see bad combinations in that sign, maybe not Rahu or Ketu being there, but maybe the Lord being with Rahu or Lord being in second from it or something like that, you suspect that it's abortion house. And that is actually the case, thing. Because he said there was an abortion with him, and because he said that he is the second relationship, I was mostly sure of the Sattvansh Lagna of that lady. But I wanted to confirm the previous relationship. That is why I could say with that confidence, the abortion is second, not first, with the first husband. I said with that confidence because there was additional information that they already had an abortion with the current husband, with the current boyfriend. So that was basically a clincher for me. I could say with confidence. That is why I insisted to find out. If it wasn't the case, something is wrong, something is fishy, so I would have just given up. But it happened to be right. So anyway, so like that, any relationship, whether it resulted in marriage or not, it will show up in the chart. Any child, whether he or she survived or not, the child will show up in the chart. That is the lesson you have to remember. And that is what makes it complicated. If you only count real marriages and real children, it's easy. Now you have to basically dig into some private information in order to be sure that the data is accurate. So that is the power and also the liability. It's a power because you get to know so much. It's a liability because if you know something wrong, you basically make wrong assumptions, you go wrong and everything else. So that is the rectification.
Basically, the first child is always fifth house.
So not necessarily fifth, but 11th from the sign that shows the marriage.
And what about the second child?
Again, from there you keep counting third. Basically, younger brother, younger sibling, and so on. You take the third from there, you take the third from there, you take the third from there, and so on. But the counting, taking the third is either forward or backward, based on whether this is odd or not. Okay, is that clear? And another tricky thing is I only know the theory here. I haven't seen any practical charts to confirm this. But the theory is if somebody is married, somebody has a previous relationship, breaks that and gets into a different relationship, like divorces and then marries or remarries, or wife is dead, or husband is dead and remarries, then whatever I said holds. You take the 8th from the 7th to see the second marriage. And you keep taking 8, 8, 8 and so on. But the thing is, in the old days, kings and even other people used to have multiple wives. So, in India, there is even precedent of the same woman having multiple husbands also, like Draupadi in Mahabharata. So it is possible for somebody to have multiple partners at the same time, not after somebody basically some relationship expired. So in that case, the theory, what what tradition says is, you take the 6th house. This is basically you are augmenting, you are increasing. This is not basically ending something and starting something. So if somebody has, let's say 3 wives, like Dasharatha has Kausalya, Kaika and then Sumitra. So in such cases, you take the 7th house as the first wife. That is always the case. The second wife who came into existence even as the first wife existed, even as the first relationship existed, that is 6th house from the 7th house. So 12th house. And if there is a third marriage, it is again the 6th from there. So 6th from 12th is 5th house. So 7, 12, 5 and so on. So this count is always forward, not backward or forward. If taking 8 or 6 is always forward. And again, to see the children from that spouse, you take the 11th from it. Either there you take either forward or backward based on the sign showing that marriage, whether that is odd or even. But hypothetical, in Saptamsa, in 7th. In Navamsa also.
No, but marriage is marriage.
We are finding the sign showing marriage to see children, because that is the starting point for children. The first child will be the 11th from that sign, right? That is why we are seeing.
11th from this sign
Showing the marriage. Let us say, in Saptamsa, let us say somebody has Karkataka Lagna, Cancer Lagna, okay? Let's say he got married. And then wife died. He got married again. And then wife is still there and he got married to a different girl. Let's say he is a Muslim who can marry multiple women in several countries. So now let us actually do this example. What sign will show the first wife? 7th from Cancer. So Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn will show the first wife. Now what sign will show the first child from this first wife? Capricorn is even, so we go backward and we count the 11th house. What is the 11th house backward from Capricorn? That is 7th house normally, but we are going backwards. So what is the 11th house? That means 3rd house. Counting 11th backwards means counting 3rd. So, Meena, Pisces. So Pisces will show the first child from the first wife. So take Jupiter wherever he is, you can decide. And let us say Jupiter is afflicted by Rahu in, let's say, Aries. So there is Gurchandal Yoga in the 2nd house. And let's say that child, there were no children in their life. Okay? Now, let's say the marriage is basically over. Either divorced or wife died. Now, second marriage. How do you see the second marriage?
7th from 8 and 6.
7. What do you say 7 from 8? Say 8 from 7. I'll be more happy. Both are the same. But I'll be more happy if you say 8 from 7. Instead of saying 7 from 8.
In this case, that only happens if they grow. That's why I'm bringing it.
I know. You should take 8 from the 7. You are saying 7 from 8. Then I wonder what is 8th house? What does it stand for? Why is it 8th house? Yeah. You got what I am saying, right? This is the 8th from 7. So what is that house? 8th from Capricorn? Leo, 2nd house. Okay? So Leo will show the second marriage. And if you want to see the intelligence of that second wife applied towards childbirth, you should take Sun. Leo is the sign, so Sun is the planet who shows her own involvement, her own intelligence. Now, how do you see the children from this marriage? It's odd, so now we go forward. Gemini. So Gemini will show the first child from the second wife. So you take where the tree is and then you take that as Lagna and see. Let us say that is also spoiled. Let us say from that sign, again let's say Mercury is in the 2nd house in Cancer, let's say it's Ketu. And we think that also has a little chance of, that marriage also has a little chance of childbirth. Now what do you do? Let's say now the person got married to a different woman because he was with this woman for a few years, she could not conceive, and for children, let us say this person married a different woman. Even while she is alive, without divorcing. Pardon me?
Sixth house from Leo.
Keep gone again. Again we come to the same house. And again the same story will continue. Now let us say this woman also. Yeah. Yeah.
This marriage is
Yeah.
Will she have the same?
In this hypothetical example, it's unlikely. It's unlikely. If the first one did not have, the third one is unlikely to have because the same sign will show. Like if the first wife could not get any children, the third wife is unlikely to get any children. Whereas in this case, let us say the second wife, she divorced her and then married a different woman. Then what is, no, not Gumba. Then what will show the third marriage?
So 8 from Leo.
8 from Leo. Meena. So Pisces will show the third wife. Now who will show the children? Which sign will show the first child from the third wife? Taurus. Because Pisces is even, you count backwards, and the 11th from Pisces is Taurus. So you take Taurus as the sign that shows the child. And Taurus Lord Venus will show the general fortune of the child. Okay? So this is basically how you count. 6 in the case of increasing, 8 in the case of stopping and restarting. Okay?
When we got married to other women, even the relation is happening, that also is counted as marriage.
Yeah.
If the person has less one person and married other one, how we can say that divorce is a
if he left that woman, if the relationship basically ended, if somebody had a relationship with a woman, they are not married, let us say, X has a relationship with his wife, and then X went and told wife, we are done. Why? And then let's say X started a relationship with Z. Basically Z is 8 from X, 8 from Y.
So it's not a divorce.
Divorce is not. Divorce is a very loose word. Yeah. If there's no marriage, then there's no question of divorce. But the point is, 8 from the first marriage is taken for the second marriage because it shows the end of the first marriage. Something that basically either comes after the end or brings the end. That for that you take the 8th house. Well, even without separation, if somebody told wife, we are done, go home, and then the wife left, let us say, that would be 8th house, that would not be 6th house. But he was living with her, having relationship with her, continuing relationship, and also another woman, living in the same house or maybe a different house. Then it will be the 6th house. Okay?
Also, there is another thing, the number of planets in the 7th house will show the number of wives, spouses.
There are formulas like that, but they don't work. You can try. In your own chart. Yeah. Try your own chart and then.
One more thing is there is Venus involved in
See, the thing is, there are formulas for counting wives, but they are not accurate. But assuming that there is a second wife, how do you see in Navamsa then? What I said so far is in Saptamsa, 50 children. How do you see in Navamsa? Same thing. Take the 7th house for first wife, 2nd house for the second wife, 9th house for the third wife, and 4th house for the 4th wife, and so on. Yeah. 4th for the 4th wife, 11th for the 5th wife.
So the best to analyze that.
6th for the 6th wife. Actually, what you will notice is, for even numbered wife, it will be the exact same house. 2nd wife is 2nd house, 4th wife is 4th house, 6th wife is 6th house, 8th wife is 8th house. Interesting observation.
It's a tailor chart.
Yeah.
Because she has 7 marriages.
Yes. Yeah. You can look at her Navamsa and then draw some conclusions about various of her husbands. You can do that.
Only case. I know her.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about it.
Yeah. You know her data, it will be an interesting Navamsa to look at. And you can see how many planets are in her 7th house. I very well tell you.
But she married to the same person 3 times.
Yeah.
So if
But if the relationship was ended
right,
and then restarted,
right, correct.
you should basically you will get a different level.
The simple one is the
Why?
number. If I go with the formula, the number of planets in seven.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
That formula won't work.
The formula won't work. You won't expect it to work. It doesn't work in many cases, I know.
Even Purana, they said Kumbha, marriage to the part,
Oh yeah, that is the other thing.
that is because of this marriage.
If you look at the UL, for example, in that particular case, where we thought that the first marriage had a very low chance of surviving. In other words, it may not even happen. The first relationship may not result in a marriage. It's very weak, basically. Even if it happens, it will end up in a divorce very soon. And the second marriage has a chance of a long and strong survival. Then you can advise people to do Kumbha Vivaha. There is something called Kumbha Vivaha. You get married to a pot. It's basically a ritual, and people believe that it works. So in tradition, people believe that when somebody has such weakness in the chart, in the horoscope, to go through that ritual and then break that part. They believe that the next marriage is shown by the next year, not by that year. And there are actually cases where it did work.
It did work, but it is like a
Don't ask me
right?
how it works.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it may be new karma for you. But are you sure you are not doing any karma? The thing is, you should tell people, don't do any karma, don't accumulate any new karma, be very fast.
Knowingly.
Knowingly, knowingly only. But the thing is, the bottom line is, many people are not at the level where they are not accumulating any new karma. So, if somebody is a good person, he wants to start a good business, and he wants to take loan from bank, you shouldn't discourage them saying, why borrow? Just work hard, accumulate, spend dollar, and finally you will have enough money to do it. It may not work for everybody.
Yes.
So you should keep that in mind. Keep the stature of the person in mind when you advise the person. Of course, if you see that somebody is spiritual, somebody is reasonably close to moksha, maybe several tens of lives away or several lives away, you can definitely tell them why all these radical things, all the complicated things, be very cautious, forget. It's all not that important. We can tell them like that. But normal people, you keep telling them, be spiritual, these are nonsense. Oh, are you in trouble? What is trouble? These are nonsense. There is nothing called trouble. It's all illusion. Just elevate your mind so that you don't think of it as trouble, you will be fine. That won't gel well with many people that come to you. But there will be some people for whom, if you just say one word, you may say it very casually, but it can change their life. So as an astrologer, you should keep it in mind that you may meet some people. You may not even realize. You may say one word very casually, but that word may change their life. It may make them think. Maybe not immediately. Maybe after a couple of years they will remember. He said it on that day, so and so. And that is true. And then maybe their life will change. So you should keep that in mind. And you should just leave it to God. And if you leave it to God, and if you do your astrological reading without any sense of involvement, and thinking that your Istadevata, whoever he or she is controlling you, finally they will really control you. And then you will start helping people in that manner. And another thing is, because I am talking about this, I may as well say this, whenever you give any readings to somebody, if you think that I am giving a reading, I know something, I know Narayan Dasa, I know Gurukrpa, I know this, because of my knowledge I am helping these people. If you think like that, that is new karma for you as well. As long as any time you think that you are doing something, that is karma. If you do something, but absolutely without any thought in your mind that you are doing it, you don't think, not just for the sake of saying, but if you genuinely do not believe that you are doing it, you are just doing something as though you are given by somebody else, your devata, then you don't accumulate any new karma. Even if you kill somebody in that mode, in that perfect mode, you won't accumulate any karma. So, as astrologers, we should strive, as reasonably spiritual people, we should all strive to be like that. Strive to basically develop non-attachment to what we are doing. Think that we are not doing. And killing ego is the first step for that. Okay, any other things? So now you know how to count children, wives, etc. So experiments. Especially in US, you get a lot of good charts where you can test all these techniques. In India, it's very tough. In India, most of the charts I saw before I came to US, just one wife, just 2 children, 2 or 3 children from that wife, that's it. if you say any relationship before marriage, they'll say, what does it mean? Now actually India is changing. India is becoming more like US, we say. But in the old days, like even 10-15 years back, people were so straightforward. So,
But
we would have to evaluate all these theories.
We could have checked the other one, not giving up the wife, divorcing or wife dies, because the king used to have more than one wife.
That's what I said. Yes.
So we could have tested that.
Oh yeah. But again,
Nobody gives
20 years back there were no kings.
In our country, who are conceptual in the
Yeah. The people who came to me before I came here, they were all 2018, 2015, 16 years back. They were all normal people, like you and me, hopefully. So people who basically have one wife and happy. Those are the kind of people. So you don't get to test all these techniques. But of course, these were developed by people who saw all these kings who had many wives.
Yeah.
One queen died. Now the thing is, what if somebody has a wife, and then even while that relationship is alive, second wife came, and then let us say one of them died, and third one, another wife comes. How do you count? All these are not very easy. These are tricky. So I don't really have an answer. If you have any example, you can experiment. But if there are, let's say, 3 wives, and the second one died, and then there is a fourth one, you count it as increase or do you count it as gain? Probably it's an increase, because second one, even though she is dead, third one that came is already there. But if the third one died and fourth one came, how do you count?
third one ended and then fourth one.
Should you do that? Maybe. Or even though third one died, basically still there are 2 relationships. You are basically increasing the number of wives, increasing the number of husbands or wives. So 6 or 8, I'm not fully sure. Maybe 6, maybe 8, but not fully sure. So all these tricky things are there. But bottom line is, for straightforward things like one wife or divorce, and then marriage. So those cases, whatever has been given in tradition works nicely. So that much I can tell. Yeah.
Recently,
Yeah.
she's
She's not?
she's not able to talk,
Yeah.
and as well as she's deaf.
Yeah. Not able to talk and not able to hear.
Here, both. So in that case, communication is the third house.
Huh?
What about the deaf? How do we
Okay. Anybody? Any thoughts on how do you see deafness?
Speech is coming from second.
Yeah.
The sound is coming from Akashatra in the third house.
Yeah.
So you see dharma of the third house, which is the 11th house.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Perfect.
dharma of the
Third house is basically the
third house is the sound.
yeah.
And the 9th is the dharma of the sound, which is your organ. Not the organ, the hearing.
Yeah. Another way to put that is third house. Third house shows your what is it? Third house shows your ear.
Organ. Third house
The
is
organ.
And
So the 9th from there is the dharma of your ear, which is hearing.
so if the 11th is affected, then it's not good.
11th is the sign, is the house that shows your hearing area.
And 3 and 11 have to be in harmony. The arts of 3 and 11 have to be in harmony.
Yeah.
For the ear as well as the
Function to be
dharma of the ear also.
yeah.
If they are
Yeah.
not or if they are badly
So 3rd and 11th should be good. Especially 11th is the most important house. You are seeing hearing. And there should be positive links between 3rd and 11th. If there are any negative links or 11th is very hammered by malefic, then there will be hearing problems.
And so eyesight.
Now eyesight. Any apart from Keshu, anybody? Why 12? What is the sign that shows? What is the house that shows eyes? Anybody? Eyes. Second house is eyes. Okay? Second house will show eyes. Third house will show ears. Now, what will show? Third house is physical ears. If somebody has big ears, small ears, all those.
So second from 11th is the first house. So dharma of the ear, eyes.
Dharma of the eyes.
are-
So 9th from second.
Ninth from
What is 9th from second?
No.
9th from the second house. Second house is eyes. The 9th from there is the dharma. What is the duty of those eyes?
The tenth house.
The 10th house. So 10th house is an important house. But seeing vision.
How do you see left eye, right eye?
That is more tricky. But for now, we will just talk about vision in general.
So the 10th house has to be strong or not afflicted.
10th house has to be strong. If it's afflicted, if 2nd house is afflicted, there can be eye problems. It may not be vision. But if the 10th house is afflicted, there will be vision problems.
So let's say that case the 10th house is Aries.
10th house is Aries. Okay.
So the eyes are Dharma, no planets in Aries, but it will be
10th house is Aries, no planets in Aries, but Saturn aspecting Aries, right?
No, my point is that because of that, the eye will be weaker because the Mars house is on, Lord is by Mars.
Not necessarily. You don't just look at the Lord and say, because it's Mars, then that's not a logical thing to do. See if there are any undesirable afflictions to the 2nd house or 2nd Lord.
Second house is
In the example chart that you have in your mind, the 10th house is Aries is being affected by Saturn.
I was trying to
and the
get
Lord
why
is
the
with
glasses come to people. Why the glasses?
Yeah.
So that's a weakness of the eye.
Yeah, that's
right?
weakness.
So that is
There will be affliction to the 10th house or 10th Lord if somebody has eyesight problem.
Everybody, a lot of people take
Yeah.
So everybody has an affliction of.
You must, if you are wearing glasses, especially not very low power glasses, but if you are wearing high power glasses, you must have an affliction to the 10th house or 10th Lord. As a matter of fact, if you look at the Dasas, etc., those links must come out.
So what is 2nd Lord?
In my own case, for example, let me take my example. My 10th house, if you remember, is Virgo. My Lagna is Virgo. My 10th house is Gemini.
Right?
And if you look at the aspect, the 10th house is being aspected by Saturn. Jupiter is also aspecting, but Saturn's aspect is closer. My Lagna is around 13 or 14 degrees, I forget. So if you take the 10th house cusp, that is in Gemini, and the longitude of the cusp is around 14 degrees. And Saturn is in the 16th degree. He is 15 degrees some minutes in Aries. So he has 3rd house aspect on my 10th house, very close aspect. So in Sanidasya, I developed my eyesight problems and I started wearing glasses. And slowly it just became very high and then stayed there. And in your own case, because you started saying Aries, I just opened your chart. In your own case, Aries is the 10th house.
Right. And
Saturn aspect is, and the 10th Lord Mars is afflicted by Ketu.
Right.
Ketu is a bad planet for all health related issues. So,
If it's in the 8th house,
pardon me?
if it's in the 8th house,
Who's in the 8th house?
Ketu.
Ketu in the 8th house, okay. Where are you
That's
talking about?
good. Recognize mean like.
No. There is nothing called good or bad. If Ketu is in the 8th house, usually there will be some infection after. There may be some health problems that are tough to diagnose, but there will be long life. The person will live long, but whenever there are some health problems, there will be tough to diagnose. Not always, like if there is cold, we can diagnose, but there can be some undiagnosable weird problems. And there can be some occult abilities, like some infection. You can't say good or bad, but everything has good and bad to it. But on the bad side, there can be some health problems. Health may not be perfect. On the good side, there will be occult things.
I heard like, maybe with an accident,
Yeah, Ketu in 8 is not good for us.
yeah, eyesight, the firecracker is low.
So is it a natal or transit also?
Transit also. Natal definitely, but transit also. Ketu is transiting in the 8th house and the 8th house. But at the same time, if Ketu is transiting in the 8th house from your Janmarashi, he can give you a lot of spiritual experiences also. So, Ketu can show. Yes. Ketu can show explosion. Now, why he gave eye problem? For that, there has to be a link with the 2nd house. Yeah.
There is a link with the 2nd
It
house.
may not be vision. It may be just eye. Suppose somebody's
You want
eye.
to just take a chart?
Yeah, sure. Do we have your chart? What is the name?
My name is Manoj.
Manoj, Anilnayak's friend. No. Are you?
Manoj.
Madekar. I don't have it. Can you tell me the
Yeah,
data?
January 28,
January 28,
1967,
67,
10:45
10:45 a.m.
morning, AM,
Town, Bombay. Pune.
India.
Okay. Manoj Vadekar.
Yeah.
Any relation to Ajit Vadekar?
No, just
10:48 a.m.
10:45.
a.m.
10:45 a.m.
So Lagna has Shani.
Lagna is Shani.
Okay, so the data is, we are just looking at a chart. We are looking at vision problems, etc. We are looking at a chart. January 28, 1967, 10:45 a.m. Pune, India, 73 degrees 52 minutes east, 18 degrees 32 minutes north. Saturn is in Lagna. Lagna is 18 degrees 33 minutes Pisces. Now, why does he have eyesight problems? Is there any aspect on the 10th house, malefic aspect, like in your case and my case, Vijay and my case? Saturn is affecting the 10th house. Is there any weakness in the 10th house here?
10th house is 9, right?
10th house is Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Any planets affecting it?
Shani, 10th.
Shani is affecting and who? Rahu. Pardon me? You are okay? Are you really okay?
I got a wrong time.
10:45.
I think it's January 28, 57.
Yeah.
He started interest in horoscope when I started looking at astrology. In astrology.
That is very good, sir. Very good. So you saw somebody's horoscope and you got them into it. Very good karma.
I can't explain how the things are making up with the class.
Very good, very good. So you have some power in you. That's good. Okay. So, first of all, Saturn is affecting the 10th house. And Rahu has even closer aspect because Lagna is 18 degrees 33 minutes. And Rahu, if you see, he is at 18 degrees 29 minutes. Almost on the same degree, same minute, 4 minutes away. And he has 9th house aspect on Sagittarius. Rahu is very, Rahu aspects the 2nd house, 5th, 7th and 9th. Like Jupiter, 5, 7 and 9.
5, 7 and 9.
Like Jupiter, and Uranus 2nd house. Because he has his eyes on resources. He always worries about what are my resources. For all the great things that I have to do, do I have enough resources? Second house. So 9 Drushti is there and it's very, very close. Extremely close Drushti. So, because of the
The
standard...
problem is in the right eye.
Pardon me?
Problem is in the right eye. Left eye is absolutely.
That could be true because the right eye itself is shown by the 2nd house and the left eye further to take the 12th house. So 2nd house is particularly very weak here. Rahu is here. So there can be problems in the right eye. But the thing is, if you look at the dashas, when you started developing different problems, etc., there will be some links with Shani and Rahu. At least in translate. It's not in dasha, it should be in the translate. But now, actually, let me finish the thought. Why we came here is, Ketu being in the 8th house has nothing to do with him wearing eyeglasses. That has to do with Saturn and Rahu. But there was an explosion which hurt his eye. So that Ketu may have a link because Ketu shows explosion and he is with the 2nd lord. He is sitting in the 2nd lord, 2nd lord Mars. So if there is some explosion that hurts his right eye, it may suffer. That is what we wanted to check. That's why we wanted to check.
Before it is with the eye, not with the vision.
Not with the vision. As far as vision is concerned, Ketu has no role to play, except he has an Argala. That's not good enough. That's not too good. But he has very little role to play. The real role is being played by Saturn and Rahu. Mainly Rahu, if you ask me, more than Saturn. Yeah. Rahu is the role. But usually, for me, Saturn is in Lagna. So what's your point?
That's why you can't really
No. Because his aspect on the 10th house is weak. 10th house is at 18 degrees 33 minutes in Sagittarius. The 10th house cup. The 10th house is in entire Sagittarius, but the significant point, most significant point, is at 18 degrees 33 minutes. And Saturn is at 2 degrees 46 minutes. So it's very far away. So basically he's basically on the border. It's a very border aspect. Whereas Rahu is right at the bullseye, almost in the bullseye. Though not in the middle of the bullseye, but a little away from the bullseye. But
There is no rectification, right?
there may be, but even if it's specified by a couple of degrees, still Rahu's aspect is within 5 degrees. He won't be rectifying by more than 5 degrees anyway.
And if the Rahu is strong, they give money, instant money, does it in the second house or no?
Okay, what do you guys say? Rahu is in the second house from second house from Lagna. Does it give money? Does it mean he will get a lot of money in Rahu Dasa? I know you heard, but what do you guys think? Is second house from Lagna good for Rahu?
Maybe you lose all the money.
Okay. He thinks that Rahu in the second house can make him lose the money. Good point. That can very possible. 12th Lord in second house. So, his agenda is to spend. Or invest.
And Rahu is being able to try to do this house, that has first,
Yeah. Okay. So, in general, based on Lagna, that Rahu placement is not so good. Everybody agree? Okay. But he will not ask you because he will say, no, I want money. you don't get to vote.
Another way to look at this.
Yeah.
Rahu stands for all the yoga.
Yeah.
And being in the second house, he gives the material benefits, but there is also possibility that being a particular, he will make him strengthen.
Okay. So that is also possible. That is also possible. But tell me one thing. Based on Shastras, is it a good house for him to be or not?
Usually the benefits 3, 6, 7 are good, but
3, 6, 7 are good. Second is not that good.
no, it's not
Neutral or below average placement. But when he is asking about money, financial matters, etc., or when he is talking about his material status, should you be looking at Lagna or more importantly from Aruhi Lagna? Aruhi Lagna. If you look from Aruhi Lagna, you will know what exactly Rahu is doing to. How is Rahu placed from Aruhi Lagna? He is in the 6th house. Good or bad for Rahu? Excellent. 6th house Rahu from Aruhi Lagna will show overcoming all the obstacles, killing all the enemies and being very successful. So actually Rahu is good for us. Whenever Rahu Dasa comes, I don't know when it's coming. We started with 12 Dasa. Why? I only 29th also. Yeah. 40.
So 6 from Aruhi 6 is Saturn.
Yeah.
So that means manifestation of fortune. Saturn will...
Actually, as far as fortune is concerned, who is the best planet in this chart? As far as fortune is concerned, who will give him sudden fortunes like?
Materialistic fortune?
Yeah, materialistic fortune. The second lord from Aruhi Lagna and 5th lord from Aruhi Lagna is Jupiter. He is in the 9th from Aruhi Lagna. Good or bad? Excellent. Now, in the Navamsha, because that is the chart, that is the key basically, that is the last to everything. In the Navamsha, Jupiter is Lagna Lord in the 9th house. So, Lagna Lord in 9th is excellent. He shows great fortune. So, Jupiter is a great giver in this particular case. Jupiter is excellent planet for fortune. But in the Rashi chart, he is exalted but retrograde. Exalted retrograde planets are akin to debilitated planets. So basically there is a Yoga Bhanga kind of thing there. Had the same Jupiter not been retrograde, he would have given excellent fortune. Now because of the retrogression, the fortune may be tough to get. There is a lot of fortune written for him, but basically it's like he forgot the key or he put the key somewhere. He has to work hard to find the key and then work hard. So he has to work hard to get those results. Because he gives results also he is debilitated. So he makes him work hard to get the results. So with a little prayer, the Jupiter will be very favorable. You have to work hard. Yes. But if you work hard and if you pray to Jupiter, Jupiter will unlock the doors for you. So pray to Dattatreya, Jagannatha, Dakshinamurti, Sai Baba. Pray to some Guru figures and the gates of fortune will open for you.
And that also has another double benefit because
yeah.
The nearly Rahu in the second house,
yeah.
who affects the eyesight.
Yeah.
The eye power will not go up.
Yeah.
The vision power may not go up continuously.
And Jupiter is the 10th lord. So good for vision also.
That's why when he said this.
And in general he is Lagna lord. He is the overall well-being. So in the Rashi as well as Navamsha, both. He is a very key planet for us. So we should really pray to Jupiter.
The Navamsha Lagna, how can it be Jupiter Lagna Lord in Navamsha? Navamsha Lagna is a death count.
I get it in Sagittarius. You take 10:45 a.m. January 28, 1967. 5:30 hours east of GMT. Pune, India. 73 east 52, 18 north 32.
74, 26, 25.
Did you take Pune?
I got 23.
There is only one Pune, I believe.
Yeah, there is one.
Yeah, there is only one.
One.
Some towns there are two. You probably
You like east or south? Okay. Karela and things like that.
Actually,
Yeah, not the reason
that is because of Lagna Lord. Yeah.
I will. No, but second house itself was more so.
Both first and second. Jupiter has linked with one of the two houses.
Jupiter
Such people will like speed.
will make him like this.
Yeah.
But the planet in Lagna is Saturn, so it is also making Jupiter hot Karela and Pakistan.
Hot stuff.
So which will overtake Jupiter or both?
There is no competition. You can like both. You can like different tastes.
But why in the job I have to keep fighting and there is no realization of physical in the job?
So he's saying he has to fight in the job.
Fight means no, at least rewards are not, no, recognition is very low.
So his recognition in the workplace is low. Look at Dashamsha. Dashamsha Lagna is on a border. It's 18 degrees 33 minutes and at 18 degrees it changes. So 1 minute 46 seconds earlier, the Lagna would have been Aries instead of Taurus. So we have to find out if Lagna is Aries or Taurus. So how do we do that? We ask him something about his career. Okay, because we are not sure if Lagna should be here or here, Taurus or Aries. So what does he do?
Software.
What do you do? Software. What kind of software?
Application software.
He does application software, Java and all this. That's what he said, his own word. So, web-based, okay. So web-based application development. How do you... Does it make sense? Does it make sense with the existing chart? Or do you have to change it? Aries makes more sense or Taurus?
Aries makes more sense.
Okay. Everybody thinks Aries, so why Aries?
The second, sixth, tenth signifies job.
Yeah, second, sixth and tenth.
Here also even if you Taurus or Lagna, second house is Mercury.
Yeah, second house Mercury. And second lord Mercury is with Jupiter and Ketu. Ketu for computers, Aries.
The 12th is maybe different
Yeah. Okay, good point.
Sixth has got Rahu and Mars.
Yeah.
That's again hardware.
Yeah. But
Earlier I was in India, yes, but then after coming here,
so he was actually in hardware.
Started with the hardware.
started with that.
Okay.
So he started with Mars Rahu and then he changed to Mercury Ketu.
Actually, I did a BE in instrumentation and then turned to computer. So there is too much of a career changes all over, all the past.
Now 10th house is also Saturn.
Okay, now he was a hardware engineer in the beginning and then he changed into software. So if you take this, the sixth house is strong because it has two planets. So that is basically Mars and Rahu kind of series came in the beginning. And then the second house Mercury, even though second house is weak, second lord is very strong. He is with Jupiter and Ketu. He is more strong.
Is it fourth house?
Yeah, fine. But he is the second lord. His agenda is to give him some wealth, some resourcefulness in the career. And he is in the 12th house, so it may require a move abroad or something. That is possible. Or it may also come with a sense of giving up something or losing something. Compromising. That is possible. But he is in the 12th house, so he will give some 12th house results like expenses, compromise, moving, etc. But he is the second lord. So he will work towards giving him resources to work. So he got Mercury and Ketu with computer resources to work with. So Mercury and Ketu can show a computer engineer.
Right.
No, okay. Yes.
But I think Aries might make more sense because if it is Aries, Mercury is still the third and
Sixth lord. Sixth lord in Lagna, so that is his main career. Why did he start with hardware then? Here Mars and Rahu are in the sixth house and they aspect the Lagna. So because of the aspect on Lagna, the start of the career happened with that. Yeah. If it is Aries, how do you explain the fact that he did this work?
the reason I was saying that is it is Mercury Ketu, okay, in software.
Yeah.
But then the eighth lord is involved in the case with them.
Yeah. What is it?
Eighth lord involvement,
Yeah.
he could be working from just a fact, he said, why should I be working, going against and struggling, things
Yeah.
like that. If eighth lord is involved, it could become tensions and hard work and try to...
Anxiety, unhappiness, yeah.
That's why I was thinking if it is there is, the eighth lord involvement at Ketu, eighth lord involvement is the sixth lord there to get into it.
Even here, the eighth lord Jupiter is involved.
And even here,
Even here, basically, the combination is in the 12th house of some compromise. And Jupiter, 12th lord is there. And we don't think that it's a Raj Yoga. Jupiter, 8th lord in the 12th alone would have been a Raj Yoga. But with Mercury, with the 5th lord of recognition, and 7th lord Ketu of relationship, then Jupiter is spoiling. Those two planets are being afflicted by Jupiter, the 8th lord. So again, there can be tensions, unhappiness, whatever you said, it can be given by Jupiter also. Yeah, even with this. Moreover, it is, instead of happening in Lagna now,
it's happening in 12th house.
it's happening in the 12th house. So, it's even worse. So, any important combination in the 12th house means it is not very happy. There has to be some compromise, whatever it is. And Jupiter shows nagging sense of unhappiness. But the key could be to look at the Dasa and figure out. Okay?
10th lord and 7th lord taking
10th lord, what?
10th lord is Saturn.
Yeah.
7th
Yeah.
for the service being 7th house is good.
It is
good, but not the 7th.
Yeah, but the thing is, Saturn, even though he is in the 7th house, he is basically a planet of service only. So, there would still be service only. With this chart, if Temple Lord Saturn is in the 7th house, and affecting Lagna. But then, if Saturn is the 7th Lord, and he is with debilitated moon, what would that show? If the Temple Lord is with debilitated moon, what would that show?
Mentally, it's not favorable to the calmness of the mind.
Yeah.
It always creates fluctuations of
Kind of he could be with a depressed mind or actually depressed mind in negative connotation. It's a
Unhappy, sad.
unhappy,
Yeah.
debilitated mind.
Yeah.
Being at a party is
Yeah.
totally unhappy party.
Now, how do you say recognition? He says he doesn't get enough recognition.
From A5.
All the recognition, promotions, etc. he gets are from A5. The manifestation of 6th house. So, how is A5? With this Lagna. It is Scorpio. A5 is in Scorpio. Is it well placed or badly placed? It's well placed in a quadrant from Lagna. So, there is some recognition. But who are the planets in that house?
Debilitated moon and the 10th lord.
10th Lord, but still it is Saturn basically. Saturn's nature is, he is Yokarka here, so he gives yoga, but at the same time Saturn never gives full recognition. Saturn is like you have to work. And then you will get some recognition. Even though he says he is not being recognized, there may be some recognition. Basically his perception is that he is not getting recognition. There is some recognition, but it's not up to mark. That could be because there is a debilitated planet in A5 and there is Saturn in A5. In general, Sun, Jupiter, all these planets who are plentiful, them being in A5 means that shows a lot of recognition. Whereas planets like Saturn is a planet of depletion. It's not a planet of plentifulness. So if Saturn is in A5, it's not really auspicious recognition. And as a matter of fact, Moon and Saturn combination being in A5 could mean that what does in general Moon-Saturn combination show? It shows unhappiness, not being discontent. White shadow? Okay. So you can say it that way, yeah. So, the depletion of the mental energy basically. Saturn is depletion and Moon is mental energy. The depletion of the mental energy, that has a link with A5. So that recognition, whatever recognition he gets, will make him sad. So again that makes sense. How is it with Aries? Where is A5 now with Aries? Look for A4, that will be the A5. Right? If you look at A4 here, this is the Arudha of the 4th house, it will be the 5th house from Aries. So Gemini has A5, taking Aries as Lagna. Will there be recognition or not in that case? That has no planets in it. It's in the 2nd house, a good house for an Arudha to be. And any planets aspecting it, Venus is aspecting it, exalted Lagna Lord Venus.
And how is the Lord of the sign? See, from Scorpio, A5 is Scorpio, the Lord Mars is in the 12th house. But from this, Gemini, the Lord Mercury is in the 12th house, 11th house. It's Jupiter and Ketu.
Should be game.
So, overall, there aren't any serious restrictions to A5. There should be very good recognition. Whereas with Scorpio, there is some recognition but not happiness about it. There is some depletion in the recognition, something lacking in the recognition.
So you're saying that this is a bit more...
Taurus makes more sense based on all the factors we know. But we can confirm by that. Pardon me? What? So you rectified that Taurus is right.
I mean, I have not really rectified, at least I made sense to that.
Good, very good. Excellent. It makes sense to me also. This makes more sense than Aries or Gemini. Very good, very good. Excellent.
So, I mean, at least I am expecting from April, we have got good grade.
Okay, we'll see.
But in this case, you should Saturn to have more multiple.
Okay, he should specify Saturn to have more mental peace.
I say that you should classify Moon,
Okay.
not the Saturn, or both. The Saturn being
He can propitiate all the 9 planets.
all nine that he could
Who is more important, Moon or Saturn? As far as work is concerned.
Saturn is the Moon.
You say Moon, he says Saturn. Any other thoughts? Who is more important? Is Saturn really a bad planet here? He is affecting Moon. It's okay. I'm looking at Dashamsa. Actually, that's the other thing. In Rashi also, Saturn has an aspect on the 10th house of all the work that he does physically. So that is, keep that in mind. He is an important planet.
He is in Lagna.
He is in Lagna. He is a very important planet for overall well-being. Being in Mamakaraka Sthana in Lagna. So he is a very key planet. Now in Dashamsa, even though he is in the 7th house, which he hates, it's not a good house for him. Even though he is in a bad house, and even though he is with debilitated moon, isn't he the Yogakaraka? He is basically somebody with good intentions not being able to do what he wants to do. So if you pray to that Saturn, you can basically give the yoga in Kiri. Being the 9th and 10th Lord, you can give yoga. And also from Arudha Lagna, he is in the 11th house. He is the Lord of Arudha Lagna in the 11th from Arudha Lagna. He is actually having the capability to give him a lot of gain. So if you ask me, propitiating moon is definitely good. What will it do? Third Lord debilitated. So not having a lot of initiative at work. When he works, I would say he is lazy because Taurus Lagna people are usually not lazy. He is not lazy, but there is something lacking in terms of initiative. To start something, he has to, he doesn't start immediately. Like some people, you tell him, do this. He says, yes, great, I'll do it, and then they will run. In this case, he will think, okay, I'll do it, I should do it, yeah, I should do it, yeah, I'll do it. Like that, he will spend some time thinking about it, not being very sure, planning, etc. Debilitated third Lord is always, he shows some weakness in the initiative part. And if he prays to moon, that initiative will increase. There will be more energy in him. So, from the point of view of energy, praying to moon is good. But if you pray to Saturn, he gives you yoga in Kiri. He gives excellent fortune. So people will recognize him. Also, being a debilitated planet in A5, moon does not really show recognition. On the other hand, Saturn, even though he is Saturn, being a Yogakaraka and being in A5, he can actually show some recognition. But being Saturn, he expects you to work to get it. But if you do the prayers to him, he can actually give you recognition. So, in my view, Saturn is a very important planet as far as Vedic is concerned.
Especially a combination of Saturn and Kali.
Very good, yes. You can pray to Kali. You can pray to Kali. Yeah.
In the Scorpio, Karikamba.
Same combination, yes. If you pray to Karikamba, or in the Chandi Patham, read the 7th Adhyayam.
That's why I thought this is maybe drastic. So you said that if it is debilitated, then we should use a female deity.
Yeah, usually for debilitated planets.
Now it's
female
been,
deity.
so that is because of the moon is debilitated, that's why we're using here, but the Saturn is not debilitated.
Saturn is not debilitated, but I'm just looking at the combined combination, moon and Saturn.
So we can still prescribe the
We can still prescribe. Because it's in the Martian sign. It's Moon and Saturn are in a Martian sign. Kali is perfect. Kali are some Chandi, some form of Chandi. If it is Saturn itself, then you can take a more sattvic form of Kali. Now I said in the Chandi part in the version for Kali, where she is basically killing those Chanda and Munda and being reputed as Chamunda. That chapter I am recommending. Had that Moon and Saturn been in Jupiter's house, let's say Pisces. Okay, Sagittarius is slightly different, but let's say in Pisces, very sattvic Jupiterian sign, then I would have recommended a very sattvic form of Kali. Like for example, just Kalikamba. Instead of praying to Kali as a killer of demons, you just pray to Kali as mother. There are Durga is only energy. Durga is nothing but all the energy of God. So Durga is not appropriate in that case. Tell me. If you forget Saturn, if you just take Moon in Jupiter sign, it can be Tara. It can be Tara. It can be Saraswati. Saraswati is knowledge. So it can be Saraswati. If Moon and Saturn are in Pisces, you can prescribe Saraswati. You can prescribe Kali the way Ramakrishna worships, Karana Kali. The Kali who helps you cross the ocean of this life. Not the Kali who kills all the demons. But not the aggressive Kali, but the peaceful Kali who gives you so much peace that you just cross the ocean of life. So you can pray to Karana Kali, the mother Kali. Okay, so if you pray to Kali, okay, is this a business hat or service hat? Why? 7th house has Moon and Saturn, 3rd Lord Moon and Saturn, but 3rd Lord is debilitated and Saturn is Saturn. He's Karaka for service, not for business. So it's weak. And who are in the 6th house? Mars and Rahu. Who is Mars? 7th Lord. 7th Lord, whose agenda is to give him business. He is in the 6th house of service.
Along with the 10th Lord.
Along with the 10th Lord, Rahu.
So it makes that house is more stronger than the 7th.
Okay, so overall our judgment is 6th is much stronger than 7th house. But the 6th having the 7th Lord, can it mean that after a lot of service he will do something independent? There is a chance, especially when when Mars basically becomes active.
Right now Mars is doing it.
So if Mars is active, then he will start thinking along those lines. Because what is Mars' agenda? Mars is giving him service here, but his agenda is to give him independence. That is his agenda. So once Mars takes control over his life, he will start thinking, it's not good enough. I have to do something else.
That may make him unhappy over the service.
That may make him unhappy over service also. If Mars and Rahu are in the 6th house, it's not good for being happy in service. So unfortunately, he is not very likely to be happy in the next several years. But can you recommend him to start a business?
Even if he does business, he will be in service.
Yeah, he will be working hard in business. Just as though he is working for somebody else. So would you advise him to start a business or just be in service with that Mars? What would be your advice? It's actually a very tricky decision, but I tend to agree with what you guys consider. Yeah, the thing is, once Rahu comes anyway, it will be only service. Mars has some interest in giving him business, but Rahu is only business, is only service again. So it's unlikely that he will have a long and flourishing business. It will be just a passing phase, and it may not be very successful also. So it's a better idea you will be very interested in business, but you are better off having somebody than having a business of yours. What?
You recently attended one conference for doing business. No, I expected July onwards it will be good.
How is this year for him? Before we close today's class, can you guys tell me how is this year for him? It started on January 17, 2006, 1:12:56 a.m. Indian Standard Time 2. How is this year? Hora Lord is Mars. The ruler of the year is Mars. He is in the 7th house. More Trikona. How is D10? In D10, he is in the 11th house of own house. So, the ruler of the year is showing lot of gain. Is he? Isn't he? Okay. How are the dashas that are running? Mars Dasha is over. Actually, it was very few days. It will come back again. It may or may not. Actually, when is the next year? When is the next year chart? February 4th. So again, it will come back for a few days. It's too bad. Yeah, those 2 days are actually good. End of January, beginning of February. But how is the time right now? Is February 8 to April 10 good time for him? Mercury is the 6th and 9th lord. He is in the 8th house. Good or bad? These are the judgments you have to make in real cases. Good or bad? 6th lord in 8th is Jyotish Raja. Isn't it?
But he will have all the trouble and might get some success at the very end.
Okay, now tell me one thing. 6th lord and 8th lord, 6th lord in 8th is Jyotish Raja. But 8th lord and 9th lord exchanging houses. What yoga is that? 8th lord, sun is in the 9th house. 9th lord, Mercury is in the 8th house. So there is an exchange between 8th and 9th lord. Is it a good yoga or bad yoga? It's a Duru yoga. It's a terrible yoga. So, Mercury is giving one good yoga, one bad yoga. Which one will dominate? Is he more of 6th lord here or more of 9th lord here?
More of 9th lord.
Why?
Because
9th is much stronger. 9th house is much stronger. The house of fortune, house of guidance, house of protection. He is much stronger. And the lord is in the 8th house. In a parivartana with the 8th lord. So that shows actually break in the fortune or fall of the fortune. It's not a good time. Is it a time to have a very good relationship with boss? Is it a time when boss will take your side and he will encourage you? It's not. It's a combination of sun and Mercury that exchange. So it's not a good time. Especially during February 8 to April 10. The last is going on still or over? Still going on. So for the last couple of months roughly, it's not a great time. During this time, because sun is involved and he is with Ketu, there could even be political machinations, etc. that may happen at workplace. So basically, if he comes to you before this, you should tell him, stay away from all the politics in the workplace, don't think about it. Because in such times, there is some kind of politics. You don't know exactly what. But, yeah. So he's saying, yeah, there is some kind of politics going on at workplace which is making him unhappy, removing his protection, boss not supporting him, all those things are possible. Yes. So now that period is getting over. From April 10 to May 16, he will be running Saturn Dasha. Is Saturn Dasha good for him or bad? In Dashamsa, he is Lagna Lord. He is in the 7th house of desire. In the 7th house of business, he may give business or not, but at least he will give a strong desire, strong motivation, etc. But bottom line is, he is Lagna Lord aspecting Lagna. He won't harm the career. He will basically safeguard the career. And look in the Rashi chart. How is he in the Rashi chart? He is in the 6th from Aruh Lagna. Yeah, AL Lord in the 6th from Aruh Lagna means vanquishing enemy, vanquishing rival. So that's good. And from Lagna, he is Yokarka. From Tula Lagna, he is the 4th and 5th Lord in the 10th house. Saturn in the 10th house with 10th Lord Moon, is it good or bad? Don't think that it makes him sad. Moon and Saturn is not always sad. Moon and Saturn is also Shakti Yoga.
Depending upon their yoga.
Shakti Yoga, there is a yoga called Shakti Yoga. If Moon and Saturn are together, and if they are strong, if both are strong, it gives lot of energy. Basically, you become insensitive to pain, to yourself or to others. You just hurt anybody, including yourself, to get what you need to get done. So, Saturn in Cancer is very powerful. I told you earlier, if Saturn is in Cancer, with Cancer being either the 10th house or Lagna, let's say Raj Yoga, let's say yoga called Simhasana Yoga. Of course, you don't contest for mayor or something, because this is only annual chart. It should be there in your natal chart. But in the annual chart, in the Rashi chart, Saturn is giving Simhasana Yoga. He is a Yogaraka. And in Dashansa, he is Lagna Lord. So in Saturn period, 4th and 5th Lord. Kendra, Kona. Rashi I am saying. Simhasana Yoga is a different thing. I am saying he is a Yogaraka as well as giver of Simhasana Yoga. For Tula Lagna and Vrishya Lagna, Saturn is a Yogaraka because he owns a quadrant and a trine. And moreover, he is in a good house. He is a very fruitful sign. Cancer with moon giving Shakti Yoga and Simhasana Yoga.
Karkataka sign, right?
Karkataka.
Karkataka is not that good.
Karkataka is not that good, but for Tula Lagna and Karkataka Lagna, he is excellent. He gives Simhasana, he gives kingdom. And he is giving Shakti Yoga also here. So, based on all these things, and he is in the 6th from Aruh Lagna, based on all these things, at the physical level, he will feel a lot more comfortable than he is now. He will feel like a king. He may be tempered to some extent by the transits and dashas and other things, but he will feel much more relieved. Right now, he is very tense. Right now, he is running Mercury Dasha. And in the Dashamsha, if you look at the terrible yoga, the yoga that Mercury is engaged in, he is not feeling very protected. He feels very vulnerable at this point of time. That's what you can say. But he will feel less vulnerable and more valued after April 10. So from April 10 to May 16 is a much better time. So good luck. Yeah. We told him to pray to Kali, right? If he prays in this combination, in this year also, Moon and Saturn are together in the 10th house, giving Shakti Yoga, and we told him to pray to a form of Shakti, Kali, corresponding to Saturn. We told him just a few days before. If he starts now, like let's say today, if he starts, before that Dasha, Saturn Dasha comes, he will have prayed for a week. So if he does that particular Adhyayam in Chandi part, once Saturn comes, the results will be given even more fully, the results of the retrograde Saturn. So we told him at the right time. He brought us his chart at the right time. We told him it is going to be valuable in the coming months. So definitely do it. And then how is Jupiter?
The change of job is possible.
When? Can Saturn give a change of job?
Usually Saturn doesn't get change.
Usually Saturn is against change. Usually Saturn wants very unlikely. But how is Jupiter? Jupiter is the 3rd and 12th lord in the 5th house of recognition. Can he give a change of job? Right. Yeah. 3rd and 12th lord. If the person is interested in a change of job, if he is interested in looking and comes to you, can you yeah, 3rd can give a short break, and 3rd lord in the 5th house can give a short break and then joining a better job. So Jupiter has the chance of giving a better job. So in the May-July time frame, May 16 to July 21, there is some chance. There is some chance. But is it a good dasha or bad dasha? Whether there is a change of job or some change within the company, in that Jupiter, within the company if there is some change, which is possible, will it be good or bad? Is Jupiter good for his status or bad, materially? It is good. He is in the 8th from Aruh Lagna, in the Dashamsha, right? First see Rashi. In Rashi, from Aruh Lagna, Jupiter is in 9th house of protection. So he will protect the status, physically. Now in the career, professionally, from Aruh Lagna, he is in the 8th house. Benefic in the 8th is good. Benefics are bad. Benefics in the 8th from Aruha is good. It shows some sudden rise or sudden change in the status for good. 8th house. 9th in the Rashi, I said. 9th from AL in the Rashi, 8th from AL in the Dashamsha. Both are excellent for Jupiter. So,
they are saying there will be promotion.
That is possible. Jupiter is in the 5th house also. And 8th from AL means sudden rise. And 5th from Lagna. So there is a very good chance that during the Jupiter period there will be some rise. So that period, May 16 to July 21 is a good time. So basically until April 10 his tension. After that things will basically progress in the right direction.
So the Rahu, the Jupiter follows Rahu.
Yeah. You mean Jupiter follows Rahu or Rahu follows
Rahu, I'm sorry.
Jupiter is followed by Rahu. Yeah.
So the Rahu is in third house.
Yeah.
It's also fixed from there.
Yeah. Good or bad?
So Rahu, third house is good for Rahu.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
So it continues that.
Rahu continues it. When I said next couple of dasas, I didn't mean it will end them. I just only looked at those. But if you look at Rahu, he is again excellent. And if you look at Venus, how is Venus? Venus is excellent too. Venus is excellent. He is afflicted by Sun and Ketu. That is the bad thing. But he is excellent. There will be some tension in Venus. There has some tension from Bas again. Because Venus is in the 9th house and Karaka for 9th house, Bas, Sun is there, Ketu is there.
Just we have some kind of decline in that project.
No, I'm saying in future. Oh, you are talking about future only. Oh, okay. So in September, November, some tension from Bas is possible. But Venus is Yokarka. Even though he is debilitated, he is retrograde. So he acts as though he is exalted. So Venus is excellent. So I say that from April 10 till September 3 is excellent time. And from September 3 to November 16 is a very good time, but some tension with Bas. Bas will be eating his brain now and then. That is the only problem.
Perfectly matches with the festival.
Okay, with what you are expecting. Good. So that is the thing. And Sandasha, he has to be careful. November 16 to December 7.
But there's a Parivartana, right? It's not going to give you nothing result.
He may, but this is a Duryoga, so
Yeah, okay.
it's tough to say exactly what he will give. But whatever it is, during Sandasha, November 16 to December 7, some politics which will make you unhappy is politics. So be prepared and don't do anything political at that time. Basically, it will happen by itself. If you also throw fuel into it, it becomes like a big fire. If you don't do anything and take it easy, if somebody is doing something and you don't become provoked and you just observe it, as though it's happening to somebody else, not to you, then the fire will be a small spark. You see what I'm saying? So you can't avoid the spark. At least let it remain a spark. Don't let it become a wildfire that consumes the whole company. So during November 16 to December 7, be careful, and then I think overall good year. The worst is basically almost worst is getting over by April 10, and another worst phase may come in the November December time frame. But otherwise the whole year looks good. All the best. Okay, do pray to Kali. Do read that particular adhyayam, the 7th adhyayam in the Kalita. If you don't find it, send me a mail. I'll send you a link. I just said that. That's why I'm saying. Try yourself.
Okay.
Actually, if you find a link, anybody who finds a link to a PDF, do Sandipart or Vikas Astrology. If you find a link, send the PDF link to everybody, so that I don't have to search. Okay? Actually, you are. I have been noticing it. You are doing very well. You are making good predictions. You are explaining charts well. You are doing a very good job. So you should keep it up. And also you are giving good advice to people at the right time. So basically there is some inner inspiration is also there. The divinity inside is basically inspiring you to do the right thing. So excellent.
Jupiter is overall very good in the Jyotish chakra.
In the nether that Jupiter is excellent.
It's Karkataka.
Jupiter is excellent. Granted.
That's in the 5th house.
Yeah. He is the 10th Lord also. Anything relating to career, you pick Jupiter Hora, it will be successful. Okay, so with that we will end for today. In the next class, hopefully we will get the projector back and then we can continue normal. And also people will have done their class, and probably what happened today is people would have, several people forgot to turn their class.
That's the biggest problem.
You happen to you also?
Yes.
And then some people, when they realize it later, they come 1 hour late. But some people may decide, oh, I'm only 1 hour late, let me just take it easy. So, next class we will do some real estate, etc. So if you have any thoughts, let them. Happy Ugadi, happy Samasradi, or happy New Year, happy Vishu, whoever celebrates it. Those holidays. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.